morning, or afternoon, or what time is it? God, I don't even know anymore. So, my name is Peter Sprygada. I am a recovering CLI jockey. I've been automating networks since 2012, and I'm very proud of that. And at the risk of getting, yelled off the stage before I even get started in my presentation, I will make one admission. Prior to my role at Itential, I was the lead architect and chief architect of Ansible, so everything that you hate about Ansible, I'm probably to blame for it at some point in my life. So I will say sorry right now. But today what I really want to talk about is transitioning from localized development to team-oriented development. And while I'm here with Itential, I'm not going to talk about Itential's products. We're going to talk about actually something that we launched just yesterday, a new community-based product, Read Free, that we're actually giving to the network automation community. It's something that was a thought that we had coming out of AutoCon 0 and really listening to everyone's presentations and a lot of the frustrations out there around operationalizing automation. So I want to introduce you to this concept, and we'll kind of talk through it here a little bit. But to get started, I'm sure that everyone in this room can start to relate to a few things. First of all, I made an automation thing. Whether I wrote a playbook, whether I wrote a Python script, whether I wrote a Terraform plan, I made an automation thing. I'm very happy about it. I've worked very hard at making my automation thing. It works great on my laptop. I have no problems with it. I can run it against my infrastructure. No issues. Everything works. It's fantastic. I tried to share that automation thing with somebody, right? Because I'm very proud of what I built, and I want my teammates to start to use it. So I went ahead and I shared it, and guess what? It didn't work. As try as they might, it just did not work. So, of course, what are we going to do? Well, we're going to start troubleshooting, right? I need the output of a lot of things. 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour goes by, and I'm really starting to question this automation thing at this point, right? Because although I built this, I haven't been able to really share it with the rest of my team. But what am I going to do, all right? I mean, it works on my laptop, it works on my machine. How do we get into more of a team-oriented operational model? The answer to that is, if you're looking at existing stacks today, is I start to build operational stacks for all of my tools, right? Whether it's AWX and Tower or the artist formerly known as Tower, whether it's buying a SaaS service, whether it's building my own bespoke solution. The bottom line is I'm starting to build vertical solutions for every type of automation that I want to run. And the reality is, let's all be honest, we all have some Python. We all have some Ansible. We all have some Terraform. We all have all kinds of different things. And to operationalize those across the organization, we get stuck in this challenge of, it's great that I've got the open source tool. It's great that I've learned how to use it. But in order for me to put it into my operational network so that my NOC can use it, so that my coworkers can use it, I have to start to build all of these vertical integrations. That comes with the added problem of now I've got to start to become a system admin, right? All of a sudden I'm drifting really far away from being a network engineer, right? Because now I'm stuck in the world of having to manage servers. I've got to manage dependencies. I've got to manage libraries. I've got to figure out how to get all of these things in sync. Oh yeah, I got to deal with upgrades. I got to deal with backups. Suddenly I'm not even a network engineer anymore. I'm actually stuck in this hell of having to manage systems. So with Torero, which is the product that we introduced, what we want to do is we want to get away from that paradigm, and we want to get back to just simply being an automation engineer. I want to be able to write code, commit it to my repo, and move on. And so what we're doing with Torero is we've built an application that will work directly with how you are building automations today. It works by being able to take code directly out of a repository, introspect that repository to understand the environment that is required for it to run, and it will actually dynamically build a runtime environment, execute the automation, and then throw the environment away, keeping all the results and returning them to you. And that's the premise for what we built with Torero. So, a few key things that come with Torero out of the box. That is, I can define my input schema. How many of us have had this challenge with, say, Ansible playbooks? And I wrote a playbook, and now I need input into that playbook. The problem is, my users don't know what that input is, right? I've got the same problem when I try and transition then to, say, a Python script. With Torero, we can actually define, independent of the tool, an input schema, and then we validate that schema at runtime to make sure we've got the appropriate inputs to our script before we even try and run it. The next element of Torero is I don't care what I write my automation in. I can write some Python. I can write some Ansible. What we're looking at, though, is we're looking at unifying that operational model, right? So that we're always running it the same way, using the same tool to run it. I don't have to have a separate tool to run Ansible, a separate tool to run Python, a separate tool to run Terraform. I can do it all with what Torero is giving me. And then the big one is the dynamic environment creation. Right? It's that ability to, if I'm writing code, and say I'm building a Python script to automate whatever, I might insert a set of requirements. And so I'm going to have a requirements.txt file in my repo. What Torero is smart enough to do is actually understand that, build out the environment with all libraries installed, and then execute my script, again, collecting all the data and throwing it back. As I iterate on my script, right, and as I start to make changes to my script, I'm eventually going to probably change my requirements. I'm going to add a new dependency. I'm going to upgrade one of my pinned versions. Torero is smart enough to say, okay, I've noticed that you've changed the environment. I need to recreate the environment before I actually run the automation again. And that's all coming with how Torero actually goes and executes how it actually goes off and executes the automations. One of the components, though, that was extremely important to me when we put this together, and this is something that I know even back from my days at Ansible was always a really big challenge, is how do I transition from doing localized development to a team-oriented development? So Torero comes as either, it's a single binary, but I can either run it in local mode, I can use it on my laptop, I can build all of my automations, I can get very comfortable with how things are running, or I can run it in server mode. No change in functionality, no change in how things work. It's just simply now I've got a centralized server that the team can start to coalesce around. So I can work offline, I can work on building out my automations, and when I'm happy with them, I transition them into server, and then I can actually run. At the end of the day, what we're doing is we really want automation engineers to stay completely focused on building automations. There's no huge value in building out massive operational stacks that you have to repeat for every single tool out there. And that's really what Torero is designed to solve the problem for. So as I said, Torero is actually a community-based product. So, and it's not actually part of the Itential product portfolio. It actually has its own website, torero.dev. And when I say community, what my hope with this is that, first of all, y'all go out and download it and play with it, and hopefully y'all like it. More importantly is it's really going to be what this community wants out of the application and how we drive it forward. So we're committed to continuing the development of it, but it's really going to be from folks like you all to help us define where it goes next. We've got thoughts about where we want it to go, but at the end of the day, it's designed to be a tool that really the network automation community can coalesce around and use in their operational environment. So come to torero.dev, grab the binary, read the docs, sign up to get updates, and hopefully find big use out of it. And that's my pitch.